All right, let's set sail.
Yeah.
Imagine for a second being on a cargo ship, middle of the Atlantic,
Oh, yeah.
World War II.
Yeah.
You know German U-boats are out there
Mm-hmm.
hunting you.
Right.
The tension, the fear. That was the reality
Oh, absolutely.
for countless merchant sailors.
Yeah.
And the stakes were incredibly high.
Life or death.
Britain was on the verge of being starved into submission.
Yeah.
Completely reliant on these convoys
Right.
for food, raw materials,
Mm-hmm.
even Spanish onions.
You name it.
Everything.
It all had to come across the Atlantic.
Exactly. If it wasn't for these convoys,
Right.
Britain wouldn't have survived.
Very likely not, no.
So by late 1941,
Mm-hmm.
the Germans were winning
Yeah.
what they called the tonnage war.
Yeah. Sinking Allied ships.
Faster than they could be built.
Yeah. It was a really, really desperate time for Britain.
So how did they turn the tide?
Well, that's what we're going to look at today.
Yeah, today we're diving into the story of Convoy HG76,
Oh, fascinating story.
a pivotal moment in the Battle of the Atlantic.
Absolutely.
And we're drawing insights from a conversation
Yeah.
between historian Dan Snow
A great historian
and naval expert Angus Constam.
who literally wrote the book on this.
Literally wrote the book The Convoy HG76.
Yeah. Taking the fight to Hitler's U-boats.
So the story centers around this guy, Johnny Walker,
Yeah. Fascinating character. Real maverick.
a Royal Navy officer
Uh-huh.
specialized in anti-submarine warfare.
Which at the time was,
Not glorious.
a bit of a backwater, really.
Not the most exciting part of the Navy.
But vital, as it turned out.
Yeah, this guy was different.
Yeah, he was a real character.
He had these aggressive tactics,
Yeah, he really believed in hunting the U-boats down.
not just, being defensive,
Not just protecting the convoys, yeah.
actually going after them.
Yeah, taking the fight to the enemy.
So this wasn't just like
Mm-hmm.
theoretical, right?
No, he had a chance to test it out.
He got to actually put it into practice.
Yeah, with Convoy HG76.
A group of 32 merchant ships
32 ships, that's a lot.
sailing from Gibraltar to Liverpool
Risky journey.
in December 1941.
Oh, right in the thick of it.
Right in the thick of it.
Yeah, the Germans. They had this amazing intelligence network.
I was just going to say, the Germans,
Spies everywhere.
they knew this was coming.
Oh, they did.
They had spies, they had radio direction finding,
They even had those long-range reconnaissance aircraft.
the Focke-Wulf Condors.
Yeah, the Condors, they could see for miles.
So they knew HG76 was coming.
They were ready. They were waiting.
They took a track.
A total setup.
Yeah, they were going to pounce.
David and Goliath situation.
Absolutely.
But Walker,
Walker had a few surprises for them.
he had a few tricks up his sleeve.
You could say that.
And one of the biggest was this new thing
Brand new.
called the escort carrier, HMS Audacity.
Revolutionary, really.
This thing provided air cover.
Yeah, which the Germans didn't expect at all.
Germans were not expecting that. No, they thought they had the skies to themselves.
They had their U-boats.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, planes.
And these Martlet fighters?
The Martlets.
Yeah, they could patrol a much wider area.
Than any surface ship.
They were scouting for U-boats.
Directing the escorts
Guiding them
to
in.
their location.
Yeah, it was a game changer.
It really threw off the German strategy.
Completely upset their plans.
They couldn't just linger on the surface.
Not anymore.
During the day, shadow the convoy.
No, they had to
They
dive.
had to dive to avoid these planes.
Which made them vulnerable, of course.
Exactly.
You can't attack a convoy when you're underwater.
Makes them much easier to find.
Yeah, with the sonar, the ASDIC.
So the Audacity, it sounds like.
A real turning point.
It was a total game changer.
Yeah.
But Walker's innovations didn't stop there.
Oh, he was just getting started.
Right.
Yeah, he was a real innovator.
Yeah.
Not content with just the audacity.
He also completely changed
Yeah.
the tactical approach.
Throughout the old rule book.
Instead of just being defensive,
Uh-huh.
he sent out these hunting groups
Yeah, go out and find them.
to actively seek and destroy U-boats.
That was his motto.
He drilled his crews relentlessly,
Day and night.
emphasizing coordinated attacks,
Working together.
communication,
Absolutely, that was key.
maximizing the effectiveness of the sonar.
The ASDIC, yeah, it wasn't perfect.
It was primitive,
Early days of sonar.
but he made the most of it.
He got the most out of it.
So he was using new technology,
Yeah, the escort carrier was new.
like the escort
It
carrier,
brand new.
but also pushing the boundaries of existing tech,
Yeah, like the ASDIC.
like the sonar.
And he understood.
This guy really understood
Yeah.
the importance of a well-trained team,
Teamwork, absolutely crucial.
coordinated team.
Yeah, it's not just about technology.
This guy was ahead of his time.
He was a leader.
He even developed this specific tactic
Oh, yeah, tell me about it.
called Operation Buttercup.
Operation Buttercup.
Yeah, sounds a bit odd for a naval tactic. It does sound a little...
But there's a story behind it.
Yeah, it involved using star shells and depth charges
So you light up the night sky,
to force U-boats to submerge,
force them down.
where they could be more easily tracked
Yeah, much easier to track underwater.
and attacked with ASDIC.
With the sonar, exactly.
And what's
A
interesting
name.
is that the name Buttercup
Yeah.
was actually
A nickname.
a nickname for his wife.
Yeah, his wife was called Buttercup.
That's amazing.
That's a little personal touch.
It really humanizes
Yeah.
this larger-than-life figure,
It shows he was a human being,
this legendary guy.
not just a fighting machine.
So it sounds like his approach was already working.
Yeah, right from the start.
In the early days of this journey,
They're having success.
Convoy's journey,
Yeah.
sinking U-boats,
These hunting groups,
very effective.
guided by the Audacity's martlets.
Yeah, a real 1-2 punch.
They were incredibly effective.
Sinking U-boats, disrupting the attack strategy.
Amazing. Yeah. And then there's the story about Walker himself,
One of the most striking examples
of his character.
of Walker's aggressive nature
He really was a fighting admiral.
was when he actually rammed a U-boat
Yeah.
with his own ship
With his own destroyer.
during this intense encounter.
It was a close one.
He rammed a U-boat.
Yeah. Took the fight right to them.
That's taking the fight to the enemy.
You can't get closer than that.
It sounds incredibly risky.
It was very risky,
I mean, talk about
but he was a risk taker,
bold.
a calculated risk taker,
This guy.
and it paid off.
Wow.
He was willing to push the boundaries, but the battle wasn't over.
It wasn't over.
And then tragedy struck
Yeah.
on December 21st.
So just a few days later,
The Audacity
was sunk
Oh no.
by a torpedo.
Big loss.
A significant loss.
A major blow. But
It had proven its worth.
its presence had already
Shown what it could do.
shown the value.
The value of escort carriers, of these escort carriers.
Is this type of warfare?
Wow. So it's a reminder that
Yeah.
even with
Even with victories,
these tactical
you
victories,
could have losses.
the cost of war
Was always there.
was always present.
Yeah, it was a tough battle.
And that the story of Convoy HG76
Was far from over.
was far from over.
Yeah, they still had a long way to go.
It was just the beginning.
The first chapter, really.
All right, we're going to take a quick break,
Okay.
and we'll be right back
Looking forward to it.
to continue this incredible story
Of Convoy HG76.
of Convoy HG76.
Yeah.
Stay with us.
All right.
So the Audacity is gone. What happens to Convoy HG76 after that?
Well, it's amazing, really. They weren't defeated. They were battered, but their spirit wasn't broken.
I mean, they were getting closer to Britain.
Exactly. They were coming within range of land-based aircraft.
So it's like
Almost like the cavalry arriving at the last minute.
the reinforcements.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
This air support, along with Walker's hunting groups.
Right, they were still out there.
Still going strong. And the U-boats were running out of, well,
They were being picked off.
yeah, their numbers were dwindling. So the momentum really shifted.
It's interesting. We've talked about Walker's tactics.
Yeah. Bold and aggressive.
But what about the German perspective?
Yeah, what about Dönitz?
Admiral Dönitz.
The U-boat command.
How was he reacting to all of this?
Well, Dönitz, he was known for being a really shrewd tactician.
It was no slouch.
No, he was monitoring the situation very closely.
So he could see what was happening.
Yeah, the tide was turning.
The losses.
The losses were unsustainable.
Wow.
Each U-boat, especially with experienced commanders being lost.
They were losing their best guys.
It was a huge investment in manpower and resources.
And he was just throwing them away.
Well, he had to make a choice.
Yeah, tough choice.
And what did he do? He called off the attack on HG76.
Really?
He just gave up. He realized that continuing the assault would just mean more losses.
Without any guarantee of success.
Exactly. It was a strategic decision.
It really highlights that,
The thinking behind the scenes.
Let's not
It
let
wasn't just about brute force.
charging in.
It was about careful analysis,
Thinking.
resource management,
Oh, and
knowing when to cut your losses.
wow. So against all odds,
Yeah.
Convoy HG76,
Limped into Liverpool.
they made it.
They did. And with most of their ships intact,
Out of 32.
only 2 were sunk. They sank 5 U-boats.
5 U-boats.
Yeah, incredible victory.
Given the odds.
It really was a turning point in the Battle of the Atlantic.
And it's not just the physical victory,
No,
the psychological impact.
the U-boats weren't invincible.
They could be beaten.
They could be hunted down and defeated.
Validates
But
Johnny
you-
Walker's approach.
Anti-submarine warfare was no longer a backwater.
It was now
Trent line,
Walker's approach.
which had been met with skepticism.
People thought he was crazy.
Yeah, too aggressive.
Now it was the blueprint
The way forward.
for future convoy protection.
Teamwork, aggressive hunting, use of air power.
That's the Johnny Walker way.
The Walker formula.
This one convoy battle.
Yeah, HG76.
With all the drama, the sacrifice.
And a microcosm of the whole battle.
Had a huge impact on the war.
A ripple effect.
It's a powerful example
Yeah.
of how innovation, determination,
And a willingness to challenge conventional thinking.
you got to think outside the box.
Exactly. It can make all the difference.
But it wasn't just about the tactics and the technology.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
We can't forget the human element.
The sailors,
The guys on those merchant ships.
they knew.
They were targets.
Prime targets
Sitting ducks.
for the U-boats.
And the escort crews.
Exhausted.
Fighting day and night.
In terrible conditions.
Yeah, the North Atlantic in winter.
To protect those convoys.
And what about Johnny Walker himself?
What happened to him after HG76?
Yeah, what became of this legend?
Well, his career continued to be all about U-boat hunting.
He was obsessed.
He commanded larger escort groups, really taking the fight to the enemy.
Developing new tactics.
He became a legend.
Yeah, the U-boat killer.
That was his kid name.
They called him that for a reason.
Incredible.
But that relentless pursuit, it took its toll.
Yeah, it couldn't have been easy.
The constant stress, the long hours, the harsh conditions.
It wears you down.
It wears you down. He pushed himself to the limit
Always trying to be one step ahead.
of the enemy.
A true hero,
Absolutely dedicated to his mission.
sadly.
He died in 1944.
Before the war was even over.
Yeah, probably from a combination of exhaustion and illness.
Brought on by
Years of combat.
years of
A
stress
tragic end.
for such a brilliant and dedicated officer.
A real loss.
Yeah, it's a reminder that victory
Comes at a price.
often comes at a high price.
Yeah, a heavy price.
But his legacy,
Lived our.
Johnny Walker,
Yeah, his innovations, his leadership,
had a profound impact on the Battle of the Atlantic,
without a doubt.
ultimately helping to secure those crucial supply lines.
The lifeline.
That allowed the Allies to win the war.
It's hard to overstate the importance of the Battle of the Atlantic.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about his story
Yeah.
makes me wonder about those countless unsung
The
heroes.
forgotten heroes.
In any conflict,
Yeah, the ones who don't get the medals.
the people working tirelessly
Behind the scenes.
behind the scenes whose names we may never know
Yeah, but whose efforts
are absolutely crucial to victory.
absolutely crucial. They're the backbone.
And it also makes me think about
What?
the role of technology in warfare.
Oh, that's a huge topic.
You talked about how innovations,
Like the escort carrier.
the escort carrier,
Improved radar.
helped turn the tide
Yeah, they were game changers.
in the Battle of the Atlantic.
But those same technologies
Also brought new levels of destruction.
and loss of life.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword.
Technology always is.
Progress
Yeah.
isn't always linear.
At times it takes us backwards.
Even in the darkest moment. Yeah.
Human ingenuity can find ways to overcome
To adapt.
these seemingly insurmountable challenges.
And in the case of Convoy HG76,
Yeah.
that ingenuity, that determination,
Personified in Johnny Walker.
he was a true innovator.
Willing to take risks,
Challenged the status quo.
challenge established doctrine.
He didn't care about the rules.
His legacy continues to inspire
Yeah.
naval strategists.
To this day.
But it wasn't all about
Yeah.
tactics and technology.
Well, of course not.
Walker's story.
Yeah.
The story of Convoy HG76.
Reminds us.
That victory in war,
Often comes at a high price.
a very high price,
Not just lives lost.
but the physical and emotional toll
The scars.
on those who fight,
The unseen wounds.
the exhaustion,
Yeah.
the stress,
The constant fear.
the constant threat of death.
It's hard to imagine.
These are burdens that few of us can truly comprehend.
We can only try.
And yet,
Yeah.
despite these hardships,
The men and women,
who served in the Battle of the Atlantic,
and in countless other conflicts,
they persevered.
they found strength
They found strength in each other,
in their comrades,
their sense of duty.
their belief that they were making a difference.
It's important
Yeah,
that we remember their stories,
absolutely.
not just for the battles they fought,
But for their courage,
their resilience,
their spirit,
their unwavering spirit in the face of adversity.
they were the best of us.
So as you reflect on this episode,
Yeah.
I encourage you to think about
The individuals,
the individuals behind these historical
the
events,
sailors, the commanders.
the families waiting anxiously back home.
Their stories are what bring history to life.
It's a powerful reminder
Yeah.
that history isn't just about,
Dates and battles,
it's about people.
their stories,
The enduring human spirit.
the triumph of hope over adversity.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive
Yeah.
into the Battle of the Atlantic.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring.
Keep learning.
And never underestimate the power of the human spirit.